So I'm going to try to do some explaining on shifting, not necessarily the clutch, but just the shifting. This is the basic shift pattern that you will see on most trucks on the road today. What's in the black. You will feel spring detent. Get over to the reverse and first. But most of the time, reverse and first or low are going to be over on the far left. If you're learning to drive or learning to shift any transmission, I recommend forgetting all about this little switch, whether it's red, blue, gray. Leave it in the back position, put tape around it. Just don't even look at it. Don't even think about looking at it. That can be learned later. Pretty much all you need to know is that main H pattern and the high-low. I might try to draw some pictures to help. So another thing is this detent here is when you're shifting an 8, 9, 13, 18 speed, you're mainly going to be using these 1, 2, 3, 4. In a 10 speed, you'd be using first, second, third, fourth, fifth. But they're all going to have this kind of spring detent here that it's easiest to find exactly where you're going to go for a gear without gripping the shifter very hard. If you're really gripping it, it may be hard to feel where you are. So basically relax and don't grip it too hard and figure out exactly where you need to go for your shift, and then you can be more forceful to actually shift it. And yeah, you can feel that spring detent, but over on this side it will be loose, so you'll know like that's one wall, that's another wall. So I'm going to try to go over some of the shifting basics. Just the basic pattern of where you're going to move the shifter. You'll look at it like a maze where you have to follow the path. You can't go diagonal from like second to third or low or first to second. So that's one thing. Next is basically the different shift patterns and kind of a visualization of what you're doing. So like this is a 10 speed, so this is your speed, so you're going to shift through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and as you're going up the stairs higher, you're going faster. So, and then once you get to 5, you have to flip the switch on the front of the shifter to high, and then think of that as a platform or whatever, and then you're going to do those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again. So this is obviously going the fastest you can go in the truck. This is the slowest. So if you were to be driving an 8, 9, or even an 18 speed, where I showed you that first shift pattern, you would be doing 1, or sometimes like with a 9 speed, you would have a low. They call it low. So you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go to 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're just not using that first, like in a 10 speed. So an 18 speed, or I guess even a 13 speed, could be shifted this way if you were to not use the little splitter on the side. So if you were just learning, you could shift it like that. Now to get into a 13 or an 18 speed. The way I've gotten it drawn here is an 18 speed. So you can look that you could still shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you wanted to shift it like an 18 speed, you're basically just able to cut each gear in half. So let's say it's hard to make this step, so you can think about it like climbing a flight of stairs. Like, yes, you can do 2 at a time, but you might get tired after a while, especially if you were carrying a load. So you're able to split each gear. And this also shows you, like, if you were to have that little switch in high, you're going to be able to, you could go from 1 high to 2 high, and you're just going to miss that little step. But if you want to go from 1 high, then you'd have to shift to 2 low, and then 2 high, and then 3 low, 3 high. So that's where you're switching that back and forth, and a lot of people can get confused. But over time it'll come natural. But this is just a visualization or a different way of possibly looking at it for those visual learners. And so if you were to have a 13 speed, you wouldn't be able to split these bottom gears. You would only be able to use that switch on the top, which I think it would be a red switch, I think, instead of a gray, the color on the shifter. And why I say to leave that switch in the back position when you're learning, because in the 13 speed you wouldn't be able to move this switch down if this was forward. So because you can't do that on the bottom part. I don't know if this helps anybody or just makes it more confusing.